One of the big issues we have is when you turn tight or back up or go into a driveway or change direction, there's a lot of popping and banging and clunking out of the front end, which seems very sinister and bad. But I think we know what the culprit is.
We did not.
Ian can come in and take a look, particularly at the driver's side mount for the sway bar.
Not much of the bushing left, and the links aren't exactly much better.
So, even though the sway bar is not critical for getting down the road or keeping your wheels on or any of that stuff, it's kind of like a guitar string on the front of your car, where when you change position relative to level of either front wheel, it winds that spring up that is the sway bar, and when it's not held in place, it'll snap back or clunk or bang. And when it does, since it's attached to the chassis of the car, it just sends this loud bang through the whole car. So hopefully changing these will take away all the banging and clunking, and at the same time put back the positive response that you need out of a sway bar in order for it to actually work. If it's not anchored properly, it's not doing its job properly.
So with that, we began taking the sway bar that was on the car off to redo all the bushings. What was on it was some kind of replacement from factory components, and we could tell that based on the fact that they were not put together correctly. You'll notice it's most apparent on the lower bushing that's visible. It's conical on the wrong side, meaning it has a hemispherical shape that's designed to fit inside of a corresponding cup on the sway bar, and whoever installed these installed them backwards. So that was a problem. Not a major one, but a problem nonetheless. Beyond that, it was a very simple process. Sway bar mounts are essentially just a giant bolt. So, box end wrench on one side and an impact gun on the other, and it was often short order, and then we were able to move on to the mounts that are on the car's K-frame. Here's just a little comparison shot to show you the sway bar links that we took off the car compared to the new Moog ones. You can see that there's a far deeper conical shape to the newer links. This is kind of a more modern design. They work fine on older cars, but it really emphasizes the fact that the conical shape and how it mates up to the sway bar. You can also see on these bushings that they're black on one end. They have a embedded steel washer that gives a lot more rigidity to them than the original ones did, and overall should perform a bit better on the car.
So there's the new sway bar end installed. It's kind of difficult to tell, but per the instructions it says to tighten it down until just a few threads stick out above the top, and that's to set the load on the bushings. And now that we're really under here, you can see how totally ruined the bushings are on the chassis mounts. So here is the old sway bar link, or sway bar bushing, compared to the new one for the chassis side. You can see not only did this one mushroom out really bad and kind of start cracking apart, but it's quite a bit distorted, kind of catching an angle off to the side, and it's very soft, whereas the new one is rock hard and will take a lot more abuse out of the sway bar without giving. There is the chassis side bushing in, and you can see it's much more of a flush fit compared to the other one that was all mushroomed out. The bolts holding it in are kind of in a precarious place where they have nuts on the other side that aren't the easiest thing in the world to get to. It's worth noting while we're under here that if you are in this position, you should probably check all the other bushings like the strut rods, but ours are shockingly good.
As you'll figure out in the next episode, I was completely wrong about that, and all of the bushings in the front end are completely ruined, and we will deal with that at a later date. So with that, the sway bar was done, and we were able to move on to some other things. But as I alluded to in earlier parts of the video, this process did not exactly fix the clunking issues that we were having in the front end of the car. The issues would end up being a failing in one of the eccentrics in the front end on the driver's side control arm. We would figure this out on our road trip from Kent, Ohio to Loudonville, Ohio. This was a 180-mile or so trip in order to go to the annual 4th of July car show that's held in the center of Loudonville. It's a nice, quaint little town right by the Mohican River and National Memorial Park. It's a fun tradition that we're trying to do just about every year. While the car ended up making the trip with no major issues, it did develop some slight issues when going over bumps and articulating the front suspension. The eccentrics are essentially the part of the front suspension that sets the distance on the top of the control arm in and out, so when we go over bumps, it eventually seized one side of the eccentric, so it would force the upper control arm in and out and cause the one front tire to turn. It's very difficult to figure it out over a period of time. We thought there were a variety of other issues, but that's what it ended up being. And that's a story for a later episode where we go through and blow apart the entire front suspension and show you how we go about fixing that. With all that being said, fixing the front sway bar did help a lot in the handling situation of the car. It improved our ability to drive back roads quite a bit. While most people today might think of sway bar as being a standardized item that every car has, in 1973, it was far from that. This was an option on this car, and not all that common of one. Darts were typically on the cheaper side of the spectrum, but this car was optioned as a performance model, and because of that, it came with a sway bar, and it helps to have it functioning. We kind of hope that everybody's enjoying these videos. We're certainly enjoying making them. Any comments on what we can do to improve would be great, as well as a like and a subscribe would go a long ways towards helping us continue doing this.